Thank you. Hi! Welcome to my book series. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mindy Santini, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the famous trilogy, The Summer I Turned Pretty. I don't have the first one because it was sold out everywhere, so I had to buy it on Kindle. This book series is currently on the spotlight because Amazon Prime Video just came out with their adaptation of it, and I actually saw the trailer before figuring out there was a book. The trailer of the series is what hooked me, and then I just started reading the books. So the first part of this video will be spoiler free. I hate spoilers. I hate when trailers spoil the actual movie, so when I say spoiler free, I mean it. And the second part will have spoilers, in which I will talk about like the plot and just basic things that I really liked about the book. So if you don't really care that much about spoilers and you want to watch the second part, definitely recommend it because I will be talking about some pretty interesting things about the book that might just hook you into reading it. Welcome to Belly's life. Belly measures her life by summers. The winter and spring, they're just waiting periods for the summer because during summer she can go to Cousin's Beach, basically her second home. She would love to live there because that's where the Fishers are at. Belly has a very strong connection to the Fishers. It's this family that she's known ever since she was born, basically, before she was even born. Throughout all the three books, it's her story with the love triangle of her, Conrad, and Jeremiah. It's a very coming-of-age book. It's a very cute summer read. That's how I would describe it. I love The Summer I Turned Pretty. Let's just start off with that. The trilogy is the perfect recommendation I think I would give to someone that maybe is on a reading slump, that they just haven't been reading for a little bit and they want to get back into reading. Someone that isn't used to reading like cute romantic books, and I would just suggest it to anyone, but I feel like those people especially would enjoy that very much. I wasn't in a reading slump when I first read this book. Actually, I think I was in a reading slump before I read this book. This trilogy is easy to read, flows by very well, and it's just a page turner amazingly. Like, I read all the three books in a week. This book is very cozy, happy, summer feeling. If someone said, describe a book that has a summer feeling to it, it's The Summer I Turned Pretty. It says so in the name of the trilogy. The Summer I Turned Pretty always has summer. It's not summer without you. So all three of them have summer in the name. You read them in the summer. I definitely recommend that. I read it in the summer and it just felt right. This book can be enjoyed by a variety of people within all ages. The beginning of the book, the main character is in her early teenage phase, but then she kind of grows up. So it can be enjoyed by a lot of people, and the way that it's written, it almost feels like it's like your best friend telling you her story of her growing up. So it's very easy to connect to. When I say book, it's just because for me, one thing that I really liked about this series is that all three books are very well connected. It doesn't even feel like continuations. It just feels like they're all just one book. Once you read the first book, you're just hooked for the whole series. Like, you can't not read the second and third book. You just can't. Now, let's go deeper into the books. Some of the things I most liked about this series was, first, the way that it was written. Second, the characters' connection, how they interacted with each other. And just overall the plot. I feel like the plot was very well made. The way that it was written, the story is not being told of Belly. Belly is telling you her story. The story feels very vulnerable to Belly because she is telling you her mistakes and what she did right. And it felt very realistic. At no point was I like, okay, that clearly could never happen. All the stuff that happened, I feel like, if someone told me that story, I wouldn't be thinking, okay, she's lying. Like, I wouldn't think that. We are able to understand Belly's thoughts. Belly tells us her thoughts, such as her thoughts towards Taylor and how Taylor is her best friend, although sometimes she kind of hates Taylor. And throughout her arguments, she tells us her thoughts. Sure, there were a few points in which, like, when Belly said yes to marrying Jeremiah, I was like, okay. Like, just a few points right there where I was like, girl. But anyway, it wasn't unrealistic. I felt like it was very realistic. Throughout the book, in the love triangle between Jeremiah and Conrad, the author writes it in a way that we see Belly's life through Belly's eyes, kind of. It's like she's telling you her story from her perspective. Now, the first and second book, first she's very into Conrad. So in the beginning, I didn't even think that Jeremiah could maybe, be like a possibility until she thought Jeremiah could maybe be a possibility. When she was like about to be with Jeremiah, we could only see the good things that Jeremiah had and the bad things that Conrad did. But then when she started dating Jeremiah, and when she said yes to marrying him, and when she was contemplating her marriage, we also had a comparison again of Jeremiah and Conrad. However, this time Conrad was doing the right things and Jeremiah didn't, such as putting the dishes away and listening to her and noticing when she was sick. Just things like that, in which she notices because she's about to make a big decision, which is staying with Jeremiah for the rest of her life. Throughout this whole series and throughout the TV show as well, people say, oh, I prefer Jeremiah, I'm team Conrad. But I think that throughout the series, I was never just team one or another. I felt like because the story is told through Belly's perspective and her perspective is ever changing, I always have my doubts. Also, by the way, are you team Jeremiah or are you team Conrad? Comment down below, I want to know. As of right now, after finishing the whole series, I think I'm team Conrad. Just because Jeremiah cheated on Belly. And that's just like a no-no for me. But I think I'm team Conrad because of that. Another thing while talking about perspective is that throughout Belly's story, while maturing and growing up, in the first book, Belly still isn't able to understand the boys. That's why, that's the summer that changes everything, and that's the summer that she starts being able to understand them a little bit more, but she still hasn't fully understood them. She's still immature. So we only get Belly's perspective. Second book, we get Jeremiah's perspective, and the third book, we finally get Conrad's perspective. The mysterious guy that no one can understand. We finally are able to hear his own thoughts. So I feel like that was so good. Thinking back to it, I think I would have been a bit more interested in the beginning if Conrad and Jeremiah's perspective were in the first book. But because the plot has Belly growing up and maturing, I think their perspectives are only needed in the second and third book because it's her figuring out the other boys. It just goes along into her discovering everything and her maturing into who she will be. When people didn't like this book series, they commented a lot about how Belly was immature and how she was cringy. I agree. Belly is immature and she is cringy. However, that's in the beginning of the first book, and I think even maybe throughout the first book. She is still immature in the first book, and she's supposed to be mature. I think people just get scared that she's gonna be immature throughout the whole series and cringy throughout the whole series, but I don't think so. She grows up, and that's kind of like the plot. The plot isn't really, yes, the plot is the love triangle. That's the interesting part about it. There's also the divorce of Belly's parents and the Fisher's parents, and Susanna's death. But I also think that a big part of it is rite of passage. I think that's a big motif of the book. If you do get a little bit stressed out or, grossed out about Belly being cringy in the beginning, just trust the process. It will get better. I loved reading Belly's story because I felt very connected to it. Maybe it's because Belly turned 16 in the first book and I'm 16 now. Or maybe it's just because the whole summer thing in a summer beach house, meeting two boys that are close to your age, that are family friends, and that you both have a crush on, is I think something that a lot of people experience, or a lot of people want to experience, right? Especially during summer, it's like, I hope I find two cute boys that my family is friends with that I can have a summer fling. It's very, I hope this happens to me someday kind of thing. I'm happy I read the book series first before watching the TV show. I watched the first episode and I already noticed some differences. So I think I'm going to be watching that and seeing what's different. So that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. Did you guys read The Summer I Turned Pretty? Did you like it? Do you disagree with anything that I said? Did you think that, maybe Belly did stay cringy throughout the whole book? Let me know down below. I would love to hear your opinions because sure, there's what I understood from the book, but there's also what you understood from the book. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And are you team Conrad or are you team Jeremiah? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!